He is a veteran and a proud New Jersey resident. He's being called the Republican congressional candidate to watch. Billy Prempeh is running in New Jersey's 9th congressional district. He's here this morning to talk about last night's final gubernatorial debate and his own congressional campaign. And we welcome Billy Prempeh. Good morning to you, Billy.
Good morning, Ken. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Did you catch the debate last night? I had my popcorn ready.
Absolutely. And I think after last night's debate, I can say without a doubt, I am even more confident in Jack's victory coming in November, even more so than I was at the previous debate.
I'm with you. Not for anything, but the one point where Mikey Sherrill basically said that Jack Ciattarelli is guilty of murdering tens of thousands of New Jersey residents. I mean, not only was it not well explained on her part, so that watching you're like, what the hell are you talking about? She literally like throws a curveball, and you think, I mean, I'm a journalist. I didn't know what she was talking about. I had to look it up. I'm like, what is she saying? So you have to know the background. The Jack Ciattarelli, one of the companies he had, he's a CPA by training. One of the companies he had published publications for medical, pharmaceutical companies, et cetera. And she was trying to make the point that he published some guidance for opioids that basically said they were less addictive than they actually were. All right, can you follow all of that? Right there alone, it took me a minute to try to explain. Can you imagine trying to tell the average voter on the street who's worried about getting their kid to school and what? And she's saying that because of that, that somehow Jack Ciattarelli, is responsible for the death personally of tens of thousands of New Jersey residents. It's a tough sell.
Well, the thing that's funny about that is whenever they don't have any substance to deliver, they'll start hurling insults and making other reasons as to why they're going to paint the other person as the bad guy. I think the reality is that her plan for energy in this state is going to not only cause gas prices and energy prices to go through the roof, but the previous governor has already not seen a good vision of it in the same way that they've been doing already. So I think that what's happening under the position she's trying to push forward, I think it's going to lead to even more hardship across the state that we can actually see and pinpoint where it's coming from. I mean, the previous administration's already not on board with it.
Yeah, well put, Billy. I mean, you have Governor Murphy, who is. You notice that she doesn't include him in much of her campaigning. You don't see any Governor Murphy support for Mikey Sherrill or vice versa. But Governor Murphy even said, Mikey, you can't really do what you're saying that you want to do in terms of energy. And the Democrats in the state legislature are not behind her on this. So how does she think she has the power to somehow on day one change energy when it's her party that caused the energy crisis in New Jersey by forcing the shutdown of 6 energy plants?
Well, the reality is she doesn't, because I can tell you that seeing the way that she's moved lockstep with the Democratic Party already, I can guarantee that as soon as she gets in, she's not going to turn her back on that same party that helped get her there to begin with. And like you said, the reason why she's not campaigning or showing off Governor Murphy is the same way that she wouldn't show off Kamala or Joe Biden. They just are leaving a very terrible taste in the mouths of a lot of people across America, especially here in the state of New Jersey, where President Trump was very close to flipping the state overall. We've seen the trends. There's more Democrats that are leaving the party for the Republican Party than there are Republicans doing that in reverse. And we're all across the state helping to get people registered. And I think that this is going to be a very, very positive victory. I think everyone's seen front and center what her policy plan is. There is no policy plan. She just flew a helicopter. That's about all she could really tell you for the most part.
And with all due respect to her, and you're a veteran, a proud military veteran yourself, and she served 9 years. God bless her, and thank you to her and her husband for serving in the military, and that's honorable. But of course, then it harkens back to the fact that she made the whole epicenter of every one of her campaigns, from when she ran for Congress to now that she's running for governor 5 years later. She keeps talking about the fact that she was a naval helicopter pilot. Okay, thank you for that service, but don't you have 5 years of congressional experience to talk about? You notice that in any of her ads, she hasn't said word one about her 5 years in Congress so far. All she keeps talking about is, 20 years ago, I was a helicopter pilot. And I think that's why she's so sensitive about the fact that, that the Freedom of Information Act uncovered the fact that there was some question about the honor of her not turning in her classmates who cheated.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm starting to believe that she had a lot more to do with it than just quoting or claiming that she didn't want to rat out some of her shipmates. I'm starting to believe that there's probably a lot more to that story, but that's neither here nor there. Just watching her wiggle on stage and avoid straightforward and direct questions proved enough. She tried to make the leaking of the documents the issue of Jack Ciattarelli, when at the end of the day, all he did was made a request, which is totally legal for anybody to do. That's a failure that falls on the federal government on that end and not necessarily him.
Mhm.
But rather than answering that question directly, she instead shifted around and made him, you're the bad guy for doing this, rather than just straight up coming clean and saying, hey, listen, I'm the transparent candidate in this race. This is what you guys have seen. Here's the full story. And if it's not as bad or as crazy as she says, then I think everybody would have a little bit more leniency to some of the things that are coming out of her mouth. But instead, trying to paint it like, well, woe is me, you guys are bullying me, it just makes her even harder to trust than people already did before.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, Billy, a couple of weeks ago on WOR radio, I had a gentleman call in who said, I was filling in over there, and the gentleman said that he was a graduate of the Naval Academy. And when he made the following comment, I thought he was trying to correct me. He was trying to reinforce what I was saying. This is what he said. He said, it is not part of the honor code at the Naval Academy to turn in people who cheat. Instead, you're supposed to, you have an option. You could approach them and say, hey, you should really turn yourselves in. You could turn them in, but you're not obliged to. What he was saying by that was that it's not that she didn't walk because that she was required to turn them in, implying there is something deeper there, which is something that Jack Ciattarelli brought up last night. So the whole point is she was not obliged to turn in the people who she knew cheated. So therefore, why did she still not walk? That's Jack Ciattarelli's point. Come clean with it. And that's something that in the beginning, I think many people did not understand. They thought that, oh, she didn't walk because she didn't turn in her classmates. No, Ciattarelli pointed out, and this other Naval Academy grad pointed out, there is something more because you are not obliged to turn in your fellow classmates. So why didn't you walk?
Well, if it walks like a duck and it's shaped like a duck, there's a very high possibility that it's a duck. And I think the same goes with Mikey Sherrill. It's like just like how she was hiding the stock trades that her and her husband were doing. We recently found out her husband was also a part of that cheating scandal. I believe, and this is just a conspiracy that I can't prove, but based off of the information I've seen thus far, and I've seen the way she's tried to shift away from taking any accountability or at least being transparent with it, I believe that she likely did do something more than that, because no one gets in trouble for telling the truth or refraining to tell the truth of what they witnessed. Nobody's compelled to do that. So for her to bring that up and say that that was a disciplinary action, and as being someone who's been in the military, who has gotten in trouble before in the past and knows others that have gotten in trouble before in the past, that's not how it goes down. I'm pretty sure there's more that happened.
And Billy, there was just a survey that came out. Actually, CNN talked about it day before yesterday about the fact that a year ago it looked like the generic poll of all people running for Congress, it looked like it was tied 0, that there would be no gains or losses if the election were held a year ago. Today, it looks like it's basically the same, that at best, Democrats might get 1 point or 2 points. But usually for midterms, it's usually 10 points in the favor of the party that's not in power. So how do you think that bodes for people like yourself running for Congress for next year?
I think it still bodes well for myself regardless. We're making significant gains here in the 9th District, here in Passaic County, especially. We're seeing a lot of people leave the Democratic Party and come over to the Republican Party in droves. A victory for Jack Ciattarelli across the state also would translate even more so that this state is a lot redder than people think. This district is a lot redder than people think. And I talk to people every time I'm out in the streets or I'm out at events, people that I know for a fact were not Republicans at any point or couldn't even empathize with the conservative values. Too many crazy things have happened in the past 7 months. And the Democratic Party has put forth a bunch of candidates that sound like they're going to be a great candidate or a great person. But when it really comes time to put pedal to the metal, they instead rubber stamp and do the same thing that everyone else in the party does, that doesn't really represent the American people. So people are really focused on the ninth district race. The RNC is very focused on this race, and at this point, we're just very focused on trying to get Jack Ciattarelli elected. This Friday, actually, they're going to be doing a rally for him in Wildwood. For everyone that's out here attending, it would be great if you guys can come out there and show some support. We're trying to get as much momentum behind our Republican candidates for the early voting that begins on the 24th of this month. And right after that, right after November 4th, right after Election Day, full steam ahead with my campaign in the same way that we've been going right now. And I'm just very excited about it.
And we should also mention there is a rally at MetLife Stadium, 5 p.m. in Lot G tonight. Jack is going to be making pork roll, Taylor ham, and cheese sandwiches, whichever you want to call it, pork roll or Taylor ham, depending on what part of New Jersey you're from. And he's going to be giving them up to fans of both teams as supplies last. So that's happening tonight, 5 p.m.
The fact
at
that
Lot G at
she couldn't
MetLife.
even determine, I mean, the fact that she couldn't even answer the question and said that she didn't like pork roll or Taylor ham, that's a slap in the face. Every single person that's in New Jersey, now me personally, I know it's Taylor ham, but the fact that you say you don't even eat that, that's how I know for a fact you can't be the governor of New Jersey. That's that right there, full
She's
stop.
not born here. She's not
Exactly.
born here. That's part of it too. So there you go. Carpetbagger. No, we'll see what happens. It is always a pleasure to have you on, Republican candidate for Congress in New Jersey's 9th Congressional District encompassing Paterson, Billy Prempeh. And by the way, Mikey Sherrill is welcome to come on. We've welcomed her on. We have Jack Ciattarelli coming on. They're both welcome to come on, and they can refute any of the claims anytime. We give them all the opportunity they'd like. Billy Prempeh, thank you for coming on this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I'll see you guys later at the MetLife Stadium.
You bet. We'll be there.